What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Pulse. I'm the important one, Mr. Mayhem. Sorry, storyteller. He said he was planning a team event tomorrow, a team building event for his team. So he needed a little bit of time to make sure everything was ready. So I'm stepping up for him. And we're going to be talking about the show coming up, Soul Harvest 3, talking about other wrestling stuff. But we got someone in the back. But before we get started, since this counts towards some people's scores, I'm going to take the time here to say, Rich Man, we used to be friends. We got along great. I don't know why you chose to do what you're doing and go off the rails and cause all this problem and commotion here, but you messed up because I know you better than you think I know you. And come our match, I'm going to reveal some dirty little secrets. So you better start spilling your guts now, hoping that some of those I don't remember, because I'm spilling the beans on you and you're not going to be happy about it. People are going to see what you're all about. With that being said, please welcome him to the show. He is our Soulfire champion. He has a title defense at Soul Harvest, Johnny Blade.
How are you, Mr. Mayhem?
We're doing good. How are you doing, good sir?
Doing good. Doing good.
All right.
I really hope you beat Rich Man. I hope you beat him. I mean, that guy, he's the cartel. Something needs to be done. They need to be taken down a notch or two.
You've done a good share of that yourself. I mean, A-List Alverson, you've taken him out, and you've taken out Bossellini, Mr. Wallace, and now you've got Bossellini coming up.
Yeah, now I don't know. Now, is the Purge officially a member? Because we can throw him in there if he is.
There you go. Yes, Purge is an unwilling, indentured member of the cartel.
Same as Heathen. I wish Heathen would get out of there. Heathen. He's always in a bad mood, but he's been in an especially bad mood since he's been forced to be with the cartel. I want Heathen. I want the old Heathen. I'd like for him to get out of the cartel and before I face him eventually. But hey, I know the match is coming eventually.
Yeah, it's probably coming soon because we know he's going to be facing Prince Blackheart in December. But let's talk about Bossellini. How'd you think he did in that 6-pack challenge? I mean, that was a tight match all the way around. What'd you think?
It was. He was impressive. Mama Purge, of course, is I think she's got maybe a protest going on this. But it's. I thought it was going to be Mama Purge at first, but Bossellini, the judges thought he won.
Yeah, that's true, and it was very, very close. There was a little bit of a dispute, but that has already been resolved. Just to let everybody know, yes, Mama Purge did file a protest. That was reviewed by the championship committee, and they did a little negotiation back and forth, and all this was finally resolved. So congratulations to Bossellini, and we'll be seeing him taking on Johnny Blade. But before I get to your next question, we have the other singles champion here. Please welcome to the show, the Pure Heart champion, Old School.
What's going on, fellas?
Yeah.
Welcome, sir.
How's it going, gentlemen?
All right, so since I have you both here, let's start with the burning question of the night. Usually this is something Storyteller does, so I want to see both of you. This will be a really interesting take because both of you are also involved in the professional wrestling world. Johnny Blade, former wrestler, manager. Old School is a manager. So the question is, post Vince McMahon WWE, give it a grade right now. Old School, we'll start with you.
Well, you kind of got the wrong guy because I've never been a fan of Vince McMahon, so I can honestly tell you it's going to be 100 times better. I just don't – I think there's new opportunities for new superstars, okay? We know Vince has his particular picks of what he likes, you know what I mean? What really makes a superstar to him. Whereas I think, Triple H, TKO, and all them are looking at all the superstars. So without him there, I think you're going to have a real good shot at bringing guys like me who stopped watching it back to watching it. So I can't give it a grade, but I'll say this. I think the future is going to be brighter than it has been.
There you go. Mr. Blade.
Yeah, that's kind of stole my thunder a little bit there. That's I was gonna say it's going to definitely be better. You know, I don't watch it as much, but I'm gonna start watching again. Because what I have watched of it lately, I've liked a few things. So yeah, I don't know if I have to give it a grade. I guess it's got to be better than it was. So a B, maybe B minus.
Fair
Always
enough.
room for improvement.
Yeah, I still watch the product. I still watch the E. The unfortunate thing, and both you guys know as well as I do, it's hard to watch wrestling anymore as a fan. You
Very
pick
true.
it apart. You pick the storylines apart. You pick the spots apart. So it's difficult to watch it, but I still can suspend some of that because I can see some of the old school mentality that Triple H is known for. Things like Roman Reigns, 1,000+ day champion.
Yeah.
Gunther, 500 and some odd day champion, 580, I think is what it is. Having
I'm a
those
fan of
long
him.
title reigns. That's something that was more old school, more, you don't have to throw everything at the wall as long as you tell a good story, save it for the pay-per-views. And I can see that happening. So I'm hoping that I agree with both of you that it's getting better under Triple H, that, people are starting to thrive. People like Cesaro, if he could have hung on another year, we may be talking about future world champion Claudio or Cesaro. Instead, he's
Agreed.
thriving over in AEW. But, so that's my thought. Did you guys have any more on that? Did you want to talk a little Soul Harvest?
Let's talk some Soul Harvest.
All righty. So, Old School, you're watching this tag or the Team Challenge series, Team Vagabond and Team Storyteller. So, first of all, what are your thoughts on the two teams? Just give just a guess on which team you think has the better talent. And if you need me to remind you who's on the teams, I can do that.
Give me a reminder, but I'm going to tell you before you remind me, it's really hard to choose a team when you got so many talents on each team. You get what I'm saying? Like,
True.
If me and Johnny were a tag team tonight going against somebody, we could be the most dynamic tag team there is because we're both champions, okay? But we both could have an off night and go and shit the bed. You know what I mean? So it's hard to predict which team is going to come out on top because you don't know who's going to have that stardom night. You get what I'm saying? That's going to shine bright. Because, listen, we seen it, and I hate to bring up our past, unfortunately, but the Cartel, we picked on Bossellini for a long time. Said, he needed a list, okay? And he brought out one of the top promos he's ever done, you know what I mean, for them to win the tag team titles back. So you just don't know. But give me a reminder real quick who's on the teams.
Certainly. So Team Storyteller is the Storyteller, the Heathen, Purge, Prince Blackheart, and the Villain.
Okay.
Team Vagabond is Vagabond, the Virus, AEP, Mama Purge, and Shady Sean McKenzie.
I like that second team a whole lot. And here's the reason why. First of all, the Virus, peeking his nose back in. This is going to be, different. Mama Purge, in my opinion, she's Caldecott right now. Okay. So there's another dynamic. And Shady Sean McKenzie, I got mad respect for him. Me and him had a great matchup for this. I think, a former Pure Heart champion on your team is always a big seller. So if I have to pick a team, I'm going with team number 2.
All right. Johnny Blade, what's your thoughts on the two teams, and which do you think has the stronger talent?
Well, I'll tell you what, he's right. That is a strong team, team number 2. That's what, Vagabond's team, you said?
Team.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I can't always agree with Old School, so I'm going to have to be a little different here. And I'm going to go with the other team. I mean, you got Heathen and Purge, who's already a team, on there. And that's big. Prince Blackheart, who's been hot lately. I'm still feeling the burn, so to speak, from that loss. And who else was on that team? I'm sorry.
Villain and the Storyteller.
Villain. Now I haven't seen him in a while, but
Now
Villain.
here's a question for you, Johnny. Could that hurt your team because Villain's not been here for a while? Could
that's a good
ring rust?
That's a good point. That is a good point. I didn't even think of that, but villain's going to be the key here, maybe for this whole thing.
Maybe a wild card, but I just look at it
Right.
like this: is if you and I take 3-4 months off, and we come back to start our stride to go after a championship or whatever, is the ring rust? I mean, the ring being a loosely used word in the promo world, but we'll call it ring rust. Is there going to be any with the villain? He hasn't been here for a while, and the dynamic has changed. You're right. Look, Vagabond stepped up his game. You know what I mean? A lot of these guys that people don't expect to step up have really been putting up a different product. You get what I'm saying? So that right there alone, that's why I said this match would be very hard to predict a winner, because you never know. Somebody could be the shining star of the night and win it for their whole team.
Yep. And then there's the wild card that the Vagabond and the Storyteller agreed to these 10 possible matches. Every match is going to be a gimmick match of some kind.
Wow.
And the way it's going to work is I'm going to announce the match, and then whatever captain is supposed to send first, they're going to send someone else, and the other captain counters.
Wow.
So it's going to be a lot of wild card stuff going on. And
I like that.
I just want to get your thoughts on the list of 10 here. Any of these matches that seem kind of odd or seem really interesting that you might hope come up? So we have of the 10 matches, the mirror match, which means you impersonate your opponent.
I like that one a lot. That could be fun.
It can be. We've had a couple of those here. In fact, your good friend Half Past Black that you faced and had a great match with, he did one with the American Roughneck.
Oh, nice. Well, I'm sure if Roughneck of any people, you've seen that he is a very good-looking A-list Alverson. Just saying.
There you go. The epic rap battle.
Oh, you lost me at rap.
Yeah, that's going to be terrible. No matter
I live
what.
the Confederate Railroad lifestyle.
Yeah,
I hate rap.
indeed.
Couldn't drive me crazier with them out.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Sorry.
All right. The Royal Decree. Basically, what that is you're a king or a queen sitting on your throne giving out orders to your peasants.
I don't know how that one's going to go. That's a little weird, but it'll be interesting.
Yep. The Song and Dance match.
Oh,
1 minute
boy.
and 30 seconds of your 3.5 minutes, you have to sing and dance.
Me and Johnny both said, "Oh boy," because
Don't ever book me in none of these. I will never participate in any of this.
No, you can keep striking me out for all these. Yes.
Yeah.
Fair enough. The Shakespearean soliloquy match, which what a soliloquy is, for those of you that don't know, it's an internal monologue you say out loud, and you have to do it Shakespearean style.
Oh,
terrible.
I'd never read Shakespeare.
The intelligence match. There will be 3 random words chosen that you have to use somewhere in your promo. And these will be $5 words.
That could be interesting.
So I'm waiting for the competition committee to provide us the list of words, so I don't know what the words are at this time.
That could be interesting, because then, you know what I mean, you got to think on the spry right there and put something together. So I like that one. I do like that one.
Yeah. The Whose Line Is It Anyway skit. For those of you that have seen the TV show, you both will have a skit a la the style of Whose Line Is It Anyway? The drunk match, where you have to pretend you're drunk.
Oh, I can do that.
The
I used
talent
to do that really
match.
well. I used to do that really well.
Yeah.
The talent match, where you have to show some other kind of talent besides cutting your promo.
No.
It could be anything from kicking a ball, shooting baskets, playing pool, singing, dancing, playing golf, whatever they come up with for the talent. And the foreign language match, where you have to use some other language besides your language.
Okay, I got a question about that.
The whole promo, or just certain words, just a few words?
1 minute and 30 seconds.
Oh, I can't talk in a foreign language that long.
Who is going to be interpreting?
That would be up to you. You can do however you choose to do it. Whether you do it as... Now, this is what they came up with. So we'll find out what they actually get to select. And right before the first match, there'll be a coin flip to see who's sending the person out first and who sends them out second. And then it alternates that if you send him second, next time you're sending first. So it serpentines back and forth. So it tries to keep it as fair as possible.
There's a lot of
I
gears.
want your thoughts on the whole format. Johnny Blade, we'll start with you on this one.
Oh, okay. My phone was messing up there.
The whole format of how Soul Harvest Team Challenge works.
Oh, the Soul Harvest Team. Well, I didn't hear what you said on the format. My sound was all screwed up. I can barely.
So what it is the name will be or the match will be drawn. I'll flip the coin for the first one, and whoever the coin gets goes first, and then the other team counters, and then the second match, the second person goes first. So it serpentines back and forth.
Oh, I got you. Yeah,
all 5 matches.
Yeah, I mean that sounds fair to me. I like it. I don't really have an opinion on that one way or another. To be honest, I'm not trying to be.
All right.
Non-social here, but
there's a lot of active gears to that match. Hopefully, you know what I mean. They all work together and it comes together good. That's a lot of stuff in motion at one time to happen. The way it's going to happen. It'll be interesting to see. I think some of these matches are going to be real tough to interpret. You know what I mean, for old school guys like myself.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to watch. I'll tell you that.
I definitely want to see it. That's going to be a fun match to watch.
It will definitely be interesting. I will say that. So let's talk about. There's a new guy getting ready to come in. He made his debut by just walking on to the page and saying, "I'm here. What are you going to do with me?" And the competition committee went, "Sign him." And that is Jacob X. Did either of you see what he put on the screen so far? And what are your thoughts on Jacob X? Old School, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I saw some of his stuff that he's put on here. He's kind of a raw promo artist, which, I'm a big fan of. Problem is, he's got to be real careful because the old saying is don't put your foot in your mouth. You know what I mean? And don't write checks your ass can't cash. So he's talking a lot of game in his hypes. So if you want my opinion, he better deliver his first match or it's going to come back and catch him.
And I agree. And he's taken on somebody he's actually been a fan of, Sergeant Havoc, who's been really impressive here since he changed his name from Chaos to Havoc. He's really stepped up his game. He's really starting to feel his character. And so it's going to be a tight match.
Yeah, that's a real stinker of a match to walk in on your first match. Telling Jacob X walking in, taking on Chaos with his whole new. If you want to say gimmick, I don't want to say gimmick because it is what he is. You know what I mean? And I think that's why it feeds so well to him because it's natural to him. So he's got a real tough feat ahead of him because this guy, there's no fake, there's no kayfabe. He is who he is. You know what I mean? So it's tough to beat.
There you go. Johnny Blade, have you seen any of the Jacob X stuff?
I have not. I've seen everybody's hypes on there except for his, I believe. Everybody's except his. So he just posted. Okay, well, I need to go take a look. But I can say about Sergeant Havoc that he has come on lately over these last few months, and I had a match with him recently at Proving Ground. It was a tough, hard fought match. I just got to mention that I did come out the winner. But Sergeant Havoc's, he's good, and I think Jacob X, like Old School says, needs to bring his A game because that is a hell of a first match to come in on.
Hell of a first match, indeed. I agree. So now I want to get your opinion because I talked about this a little when Johnny Blade was in the back, and Old School, I think you were in the restroom or something. You didn't catch it. Me versus Rich Man.
Well, me and Rich Man, we have a little bit of history. One, I hope you bust his ass. And here's the reason why. Because he made a sole prediction that, well, all these beautiful belts that me and my friend here on the screen, we happen to hold, are going to end up with the cartel. Well, let me tell you something, Rich Man. It's going to start off as a bad night when the man up here in the corner of the screen beats you and embarrasses you. And then me and my good friend up here in the corner, we're going to go on the rest of the night and break up the little cartel's party. So for you, I'm voting for you in that one because guess what? I just don't think Rich Man has what it takes. And he can call A-List. He can call Boss. Heck, they can call Heathen up because he's got to answer the phone evidently. And it's still not going to happen. The boss man's taking it. Period.
All right, Johnny Blade.
Right. What am I commenting on? Rich man. I was trying
Rich
to get
man
him out
and
of my
me.
head. Yeah,
Rich
Rich
man
man
and
and
I
you.
do that all the time.
Yeah, you for sure, Mr. Mayhem. You have to win this match. I mean, we can't have him on the board. I mean, can you imagine what's going to happen if that guy's on the board of HSP?
He's already sent his demands to the executive committee of
The
things he
guy,
wants. And
the guy's a clown, man. I mean, I thought I was trying to be nice to him at first. When I first came in, I sent him a box of, nice box of Cubans, and never got a thank you, never got a reply. The guy's a joke. I realized what a con artist he is, and the fact that Bossolini and Mr. Wallace is in there with him, it just blows my mind. But they'll
Hey,
learn
tell
one
you,
day when he starts taking all their money. They'll learn.
every time I hear Rich Man's voice, my middle finger seems to cramp up. Just saying.
well, I can tell you, Johnny Blade, what he did with those Cubans. He gave them to the cartel members and said they were from him.
Yeah, that sounds
Hey,
about
don't worry,
right.
Johnny. It's natural because they all just blow smoke anyway.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Mayhem, I got you to win that match. So
thank you very much. I appreciate it. And for those of you that wonder, the important one, Mr. Mayhem, while I may not be a promo artist, I still can talk. I am a 3-time Texas All-Star Wrestling heavyweight champion. The only other 3-time champion is the owner.
that's right.
Humongous. And you
I
wrestled for Texas All-Star Wrestling before I got there.
I need to throw in that I am a former Texas All-Star Wrestling Tag Team Champion. I am a former Texas All-Star Wrestling before I got huge Cruiserweight Champion, albeit for like 2 minutes before it was stripped from me because it wasn't a sanctioned match. That's a different story, though.
I am a 3-time hardcore champion, a former tag champ of Texas All-Star Wrestling, former hardcore champ of National Wrestling Alliance. So I also am a great talker. I was one of the few people allowed to grab a microphone at any time I wanted. So,
Same with me. Same with me.
Rich man.
Yeah.
I was
Rich
Rich
man.
my first year out, so
Yep. So I want to get into something a little bit different here. Since we got the champions on the screen, I want to go a little bit different route. Old School, you've been promoting a very, very long time. Johnny Blade has not, but he's been a fan from the beginning of watching Heart and Soul Promotions, and he's seen some of the other companies. I want your thoughts on graphics in promos. Are they useful? Are they a distraction? Are they overused? Are they underused?
Are we talking green screen graphics or
filters, graphics, all of the above? And Johnny Blade, we'll start with you. Go with the new school approach first. What's your thought
on graphics? Well, I mean, some look cool, some don't. Some take away from the promo. Some, if less is more to me. And and with my promos, as you can see, I'm very, no pun intended, old school here, because I don't use graphics. I do my promos straight from my phone. I'm on the pulse here with my phone. I don't have any fancy microphones or anything like that. I do just everything old school. But as far as the graphics as a fan looking, yeah, some of them are pretty cool looking. They're not all necessary. I mean, that's pretty much it for me.
All right, Old School. What's your thoughts on?
A lot of people have asked me, about the green screens. A lot of people like to use them. I do not. I like El Natural. A lot of my matches you guys have seen, I implement, my lowrider truck or, some ladders, or I'm always doing something. Yes, it's a lot of setup time, but I feel like not only does the audience, but the judges get more invested when it's natural because they can see it technically in their brains. They could feel it if they could reach into the screen. If I'm reaching into the screen and there's a green screen behind you, what's it going to do? It's going to turn green when I touch the screen. So we know it's, it's not reality. Now, graphics as in, Mr. Mayhem going across the screen at the beginning of your promo, or, maybe, edits of, Pure Heart Champion or Soulfire Champion, Tag Team Champion, that kind of stuff. I think it really feeds well to a promo, but I don't think you really need it. If your verbiage is good, that's what a promo is about. It's a verbal assault between two gentlemen, or gentleman and a woman, whatever, however you want to say it these days. So me personally, I don't think you need the graphics as much to sell. Your mouth spitting out the verbal attack should sell for you. So, you know what I mean? That's like you and I going to a wrestling match. Yeah, it's great to watch them walk down the ramp, the pyro's going off. But what do we really care about when they're in that ring and what they're doing in that ring at that time, okay? Now, is the celebration cool at the end? Yeah, it's always cool to see a celebration at the end if they win a title or something. But during the match, you don't see them putting a bunch of graphics across their foreheads. You know what I mean? It's straight. You watch the match, and then you go from there. So I feel like, it's a 80-20. 20%, I don't think you need them. 80% of people are going to use them regardless. So I don't personally need them. I don't think Johnny needs them. I've watched his stuff. He don't need graphics and fireworks going off in the background and stuff. So, it all depends on the promo artist, I believe.
And I agree with that statement. I've done some judging for some other places, and I always tell them sometimes the graphics, there's too much. Like Johnny said, they take away from, they're distracting. When you've got lightning and fire and all this stuff, but you're talking about walking through a wintry wonderland, why did you give us lightning and fire? Or you get the static effects on there of like.
A lot of people learn to do that, believe it or not, through Snapchat. They use Snapchat filters and they would record it, and that's how they would get a lot of their. I remember about 3 years ago, I had a promo artist that I was going against. Everything he did was Snapchat filter. He'd put this like face on or whatever. And I had hit him up behind the scenes. I'm like, dude, have you ever thought about like losing that and just coming out natural? He's like, no, I never thought about it. Well, a couple weeks later, he did it and he ends up winning. So sometimes when they see the real you and it's only you, they pay more attention to what you're saying.
Yes. Because when I see some of the things like flashes or effects, I'm like, nope, there's too much going on. I'm going to tune you out. And there's a phrase from a movie. It's not a very well-known movie. It's Eddie and the Cruisers Part 2. There's a great line from that movie. It'd be nice being there. Then I go home and forget all about you.
Yep.
When you're all about the tricks and not the words, that's the way I feel that you don't connect.
Listen, nobody's going to remember your name because you had some glitzy cool glitter floating around your screen when you were talking. They're going to remember what you said and if it got over and if it won. You know what I mean? Not everybody's going to win their matches, but I have seen a lot of guys lose a match here, and I gained more respect for it because they cut one hell of a promo, and I understood and I believed everything they said, even if they lost. But I've seen some guys who had really great wordplay, but as you said, there was too much going on the screen. You know what I mean? You're like, what is this about? Why are we doing this? You know what I mean? And that made you think about that more than what they were saying.
Yep. So Johnny Blade, do you consider promoing more a verbal medium, a visual medium, or is it a 50-50?
Verbal, visual. I think it's a little more verbal, I guess. I mean, it's a promo battle. So to me, it would have to be a little more verbal, I would say, but the visuals to me, not so much with graphics and everything, but, facial expressions are a big thing, for me. I guess that's because I'm from the wrestling world. I don't know. I'd say about, I don't know, I'm just guessing here, 70-30.
All right. Old school, you feel about the same way?
I'm going to agree with the 50-50 things to a point because, Johnny said about facial expressions. I've gotten dung, I don't know how many times by the judges for wearing my sunglasses. Let me give you guys some backstage, and the judges hopefully pay attention. 2 reasons that a lot of promo artists wear sunglasses. 1, they look cool. Okay, so hey, we all want to look cool. 2, sometimes your eyeballs are looking at your camera, and it looks like you're looking away from the camera. So when you're wearing sunglasses, judges, you don't see where my eyeballs are looking. Yes, I know it takes away from the characteristics, but sometimes the wordplay is so good, you don't need eyeballs to get it done. Okay? So my thing is this. I love to do, what you guys have seen, like I said just a little bit ago, I love doing the ladders in my match against Shady. I thought it was cool. Unveiled the title, thought it was cool. It told a story. The whole story I was telling went with each piece that I used in that, okay? So I think
it was the cool reveal has become part of our entrance. Yeah, our intro video.
that to me is what sells a promo too. That if you tell your story and it lines up with what you're doing in your promo, my God, you couldn't tell a better story.
That's the very point I was trying to make here was, if you're going to use graphics, they need to enhance your story. Or if you're going to use a prop, a non-graphic thing like your ladders. If you would have had the ladders out there, then you're talking about swimming in the sewer, just as an example. It wouldn't have made sense.
Right. So I wanted to tell the story that each ladder I had climbed, you know what I mean, at HSP to lead to this championship. And I think it went so well because I walked, I zigzagged through them and took you guys with me on the journey. You know what I mean? And the belt, I got the belt done for two reasons. One, I love the design of this title. Okay. I just thought it was one of the best title designs ever. Two, I was calling myself the uncrowned Pure Heart champion because of my match with Tonster. I thought, hey, old school is being the jerk. I thought I won, you know what I mean? I should be the champion. What better way to show the world that I think I'm the champion than to debut a championship belt? But of course, with my own twist, the white strap, you know what I mean? Just something subtle, but it sold. People were like, oh, even Shady hit me up. He's like, dude, you had your own belt made? I was like, yeah, I was ready. You know what I mean? I was prepared.
Well, the advantage of your tag partner is the one that designed that belt helps.
Yeah, I love having a great tag team partner that designs titles. And that to me, when you watch that match, was just a cool story to watch. You know what I mean? As you walk through it, and I thought it was a really good promo.
It was a great promo. So Johnny Blade, let's get back to you and Bossellini. I know you've watched and you're a big fan of Bossellini. You've said in the past that you were a big fan of Bossellini. How do you feel now having to actually face him?
It's all business when I face him. I mean, yeah, I'm a fan of Bossellini. I like his work for the most part. I don't like the fact that he's aligned with the cartel, come to his senses one day, like I said. But as far as our match goes, it's all business, and I feel very confident that I'm going to win this.
All righty. And Old School, you feel the same? I know you're not a fan of the cartel either, but how do you feel? I know you're familiar with Bossellini. You've known him a long time, and Johnny Blade. So what's your thoughts on this?
I respect Boss a lot. He knows this. When I lost tag team titles to him and A-List, I sent him a letter. You know what I mean? Hey, non-kayfabe, folks, real life. But this is the way I look at it. One, he's a cartel member, and I'm with Johnny on this. I'm team Johnny that night. I do not like the cartel. I think they're a little too big for their britches. So comes out like I know Johnny can, and I know he can because I've seen him do it. Look what he did against A-List. He comes that way to Boss. Boss is going home goldless on at least the Soul Fire title account.
All righty, and then let's reverse that now. Mr. Wallace, Old School, the one you were hoping to face. That's the one you kind of said from the get-go that's the one you wanted.
Oh, yeah.
Is it because of how good he is as a performer? He is a very, very good performer. I'm not discounting your talent by any means.
Yeah.
Or is it because he's cartel, or both?
Well, right about now, it's a mixture of both. One, I respect Mr. Wallace. Don't forget the Mr., I respect the guy. I love what he's done in the promo world. I love his style. Okay. And I've always wanted to face him. And what better way to do it than for this sucker right here? But now I have to be personal because he's a cartel member. What a dumb decision. That man was golden before the cartel even knew what gold looked like. But come Soul Harvest, I'm going to turn him to copper. And I'm going to show the world that no matter which cartel, which mafia you join, there's nothing better than Old School these days. And you mentioned it earlier. Roman Reigns, 1,000-day champion. Well, boys and girls, I plan on being the Roman Reigns here.
There you go. Johnny Blade, you've battled Mr. Wallace, so you're familiar with what he brings to the table and joining the cartel. What's your thoughts on this one?
He's man, he was a tough opponent, I tell you. Mr. Wallace was tough. I squeaked by him before I went and took out A-List. But I think can't disagree with Old School, man. You're the Roman Reigns of HSP. That's pretty accurate. That's pretty close. Yeah, Old School's going to win this. I don't see Mr. Wallace winning. I don't think being in the cartel is a good thing. I don't think that's a positive for Mr. Wallace. I think that's maybe, at least in the long run, that's going to hurt.
After Soul Harvest 3, Johnny, we're going to have a champion celebration. Myself, you, we'll have a celebration live in HSP for the people to see these beautiful championships and the retaining, defending champions. And then you know what I'll do? I'll even send the cartel some of my smoke.
Well, you can send that. You can send something to me too.
Right on.
Well, I mean, you look at Mr. Wallace. Mr. Wallace has kind of jumped around here from faction to faction. He's been looking for, we first were familiar with Mr. Wallace and tried to bring him into Heart and Soul when he teamed with his partner, the Mad King. Now, Mad King does not want to come here because he's kind of taking a long break from promoing, focused more on the backstage stuff. But we brought in Mr. Wallace, and he was part of Era of Reality. And then Era of Reality fell apart. And then he teamed with Hollywood Haywood. And then that fell apart. And then he went over here, and that fell apart. And now he's with the cartel. Do you think that the cartel is going to give him a direction, or do you see it as, ooh, shiny, and he moves on? Johnny Blade, we'll start with you on that one.
What was the question? I'm sorry. Is the cartel going to do what?
Is it going to help keep Mr. Wallace centered, or is he going to ooh shiny and move on?
Yeah, come on. There's no way. They're not going to do anything to help him. It won't be long before he'll be out of the cartel. He'll make Rich Man mad about something. Rich Man's always running around here angry about something. So yeah, it won't be long. He won't be in the cartel very long.
All right, Mr. Old School.
Here's the key to your whole gist you just brought up there. Every faction he's been in has been decimated and dissembled, correct?
Yes.
There's only one key factor to every one of those factions that you mentioned that fell apart, and it was Mr. Wallace. So, is Mr. Wallace the weak link? I plan on showing the whole world at Soul Harvest 3 that he definitely is.
All righty. With that note there, we've pretty much covered everything we need to about Soul Harvest, and we had a nice discussion about good promos. So I'll give you guys a final word. Soulfire Champ, we'll let you go first. Your final thoughts.
My final thoughts is, Bossellini was supposed to come on here. He accepted, and he's not here. So, boss, just know this. There's one more pulse before our match. So I'll see you next week, maybe. Like to talk to you man to man. So after I defeat Bossellini, I'll be Purge 4-0 against the cartel, if Purge counts. And then I guess Heathen will probably be next, and I can't wait to take him out as well. And when is my next title defense, sir?
Your next one will be in January.
After I defeat Bossellini. And I don't want to look ahead. I don't like, if I were to defeat Bossellini, let's say that so I don't jinx myself. I'm sorry, when was that?
It'll be in January.
January, a whole other. Okay, well, it is what it is.
We're going to have your number one contender match in December. We take a little time off for the holidays, so we don't want to expect you guys to work during the holidays. We're all about family here at Heart and Soul Promotions. We definitely want you guys to celebrate with your families.
I gotta have Miss Betty. I gotta have Miss Betty with me for Christmas, so I have to defeat Bossellini. So I'm guaranteeing victory against Bossellini.
Ooh, he called his shot. Old School, your final thoughts, sir. Take us home.
Well, Johnny, you got to take some thunder from me there then, because I'm telling you guys, if there's one thing I have been good at here in HSP is guaranteeing what I'm going to do. I guaranteed Fear the Beards would take the tag team titles. We did.
You did.
We'd be one of the most dominant tag teams in HSP. We were. I guaranteed Shady Sean McKenzie I would peel this off of his shoulder and lay it on mine, and I did. And I'm guaranteeing the cartel will not have a Pure Heart Championship after Soul Harvest 3 because it's going home with Daddy. Baby belongs on my shoulder. And I'm sorry, Mr. Wallace. After that, I'll just call you Wallace.
And with that, gentlemen, thank you for the great discussion tonight. I appreciate you both coming on here. Next Wednesday. It is on November 22nd, not the 23rd, not our normal Thursday. It will be Wednesday, the 22nd. Same time, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central. We know the main event will be Old School defending against Mr. Wallace. We know the Team Challenge Series will be happening. We know Johnny Blade is defending against Bossellini, plus other matches, myself and Rich Mann, and Sergeant Havoc taking on Jacob X. So we've got 9 great matches for you to check out. Make sure you tune in. So the Pulse next week, maybe Bossellini will show up. Gentlemen, thank you again for joining us here tonight on the Pulse, and we'll see you next week.